All right, everyone. Welcome into our next iteration of. Oh, I didn't even go live over here. Whatever. Um, our next iteration of our veterans workshop. This week, we are just going to continue talking about our the 2025 federal benefits. It's kind of difficult right now to go through the whole process of things, just to process like the different changes and all the upcoming things that are in place. It's kind of difficult to look at these things in a, I would say, in a positive light, I guess is the best way of putting it, because we have to understand that a lot of stuff is going on right now that is going to change aspects of everything. It's not just going to be one thing, it's going to be multiple things that are being changed here. um when it comes to dealing, good afternoon, Annette. uh oh, and I did want to apologize. I did try to do like a members it's kind of like a members podcast kind of thing. But it was like a late night thing that I had just popped up, but I was trying to see how it worked just to do it so that we could do like a podcast. Everybody that's a member would be able to like tune in, talk about the certain things that we've been dealing with lately, and the issues, just to get like a roundup of informational topics, I guess, that we can cover as members, just to do that. Am I okay? I will say that my anxiety has been kicking up lately. Uh, you'll probably notice it in my voice. I'm very like stop and go ish. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with the government, with these changes, with these laws trying to be implemented, laws trying to be passed, resolutions that are upcoming or are trying to be processed by state legislatures, and not even at the federal level. It's like at the state level. And I think what's going on with that is that a lot of people ain't realizing that a lot of these changes are going to affect people in a negative way. I'm not sure anybody has been able to say that anything is actually positive right now. I don't think anybody has been able to explain how anything has benefited them at this point. But when it comes to veteran affairs, this was kind of like the topic I wanted to go over. Um, these changes are going to cause, I wouldn't say not necessarily all hardship, but they are going to cause a lot of people to not get the stuff that they thought they were going to get within this year. And what I mean by that is when it comes to veteran affairs, a 90-day freeze doesn't seem like a lot. It happens all the time, right? But for those entities that are, a military veteran, let's say, and we are already short staffed in the VA. So the VA is already short staffed no matter how you look at it. It's already falling behind. It's already in the process where it's $6 billion in the hole already. And we haven't even gone, we're still in the first month. Um, but this also includes not having the workforce. We were already struggling as the veteran affairs to have enough people to actually file or go through claims, file appeals, go through the actual, process of getting veterans their resources and stuff like that. Now we're at the point where we're already behind, we're already backlogged, we're already, as veterans, needing disability help and needing disability claims to be taken care of, just so that some people could be taken care of in the first place. Because you got to remember, some of these, especially with the PACT Act being implemented, a lot of stuff has been added that wasn't there before. But that means you need more people contracted. You need more doctors. You need more CMP examiners to do it. And the thing is some people are just being hired to be hired. Some people are not good at their jobs. An accountability issue is across the board within the government. The issue being that a lot of the stuff has to be done in order to fix these situations. But not having the resources to fix it is not going to fix the situation. Because, yes, they want to change the administration. You want to change the secretary. You want to change people that aren't loyal to anything Donald Trump says. Cool. I understand that. But at the same time, during that whole transition process, during that whole time where Donald Trump is instituting this, the new VA secretary is going to institute this stuff. claims are going to be slowed down. Appeals are already back like 3 years. The freeze does not affect medical people in that, but the thing is you got to remember, a VA rater is not a medical personnel. Medical people, I understand. So it's just like, yeah, you can go get the CMP exam, but then now you're waiting for your CMP exam to actually be evaluated by a VA rater. So that makes it kind of difficult in that point where it's just like, okay, y'all not going to have what y'all thought y'all had. We're not going to have the resources we thought we had. Like, yeah, there's doctors, but you got to remember, there's a freeze on there, but the VA can't keep doctors in the first place. I was just like, we all need a job with the VA. But then that also goes into DEI, which a lot of people don't understand. That is just like veterans fall under that DEI category. And I know there's going to be a lot of pushback. There's going to be people that be like, no, that's not true and stuff like that. It was just, you got to understand, most of the time, military veterans have a negative connotation when it gets stuck to their name. That's everywhere. That's in every workforce. Oh, you were in the military? Oh, you probably might lose your shit at some point. You might lose it. You might not be able to operate the thing. They're all supposed to follow a certain criteria. It all goes off of, it's called the M21-1. That is basically their regulation to go through the stuff. So the M21-1 is what they go through, and they go through that. But the thing is JC, when it comes to certain points like that, like you can see that some people have, like, you can have a perfect claim and a VA rater can still deny you. So literally you can have all your ducks in a row, all your documentation, all your stuff ready, prepared, good to go. You got your evidence, nexus letter, but everything is good. Like anybody else would have passed it. You can still get a rater that might be like, you know what, denied. They could have just been lazy. Now you fall into the appeals process because you know you have your stuff good. Everything is good for you. It's just like, okay, I'm good to go. There's no reason I am not going to get a rating for this. Now you get denied. Now you get the denial letter. You get the explanation, which is bullshit because it'll say, oh, we found evidence proving that you were going to be able to get something, but it didn't fall under it. And then you look at it and it's just like, it fits everything. I have now you go through the appeal, right? The appeal process right now, there's a wait and a backlog of about 3 years. 3 years of a backlog for appeals. Now, if you can't hire any federal judges, if you can't hire anybody else new, you are putting a 90-day, you are adding an automatic 90-day delay. Because, yeah, they're still going to work on it through those 90 days. But clearly, we do not have enough people trying to expedite or go through the veterans process. Because remember, from these past 2 years, from when they enacted the PACT Act, basically since August 9th of 2022 till now, there's been almost an increase of 2 million extra just straight because of the PACT Act. That's not counting every other claim that people have been making. No. You always want to appeal it, JC. That's the thing. That's the problem where people get into. One thing that people don't understand, if a military veteran wants back pay, right? If you want back pay, if you want that crazy amount of back pay, you have to stay with the same filing and you have to appeal it. Some veterans think that it's just like, oh, I got denied. Even though they got the right information, they got everything they need, they think, oh, I got denied, I'll just do it again and refile. No, you appeal that situation. Because the thing is let's say today is January 26th, right? If you are on January 26th and you filed, let's say January 26th of 2024, and now is when you get the answer saying, oh, you've been denied. Cool, you're appealing it. The appeal date, so let's say they go through everything and then they realize, oh shit, he was supposed to get a higher rating. You would get back pay from January 26th of 2024, increasing whatever the increase was because of that wrong thing, the wrong disability that they put to it. Now, if you go ahead and just decide, oh, I'm gonna file again, that's a whole new date. So let's say you lost that last one and you got denied, and that was last year, January 26th. Now it's January 26th of 2025. If you decide to open a brand new claim, the date will be January 26th of 2025. It will not count the fact that you had already done a same filing and been denied. So that's what a lot of veterans don't understand, because you lose out on a ton of back pay once you file that new claim for that new disability, for the same disability that was just denied before. So you need to make sure that you are filing and appealing. If you know you have the right stuff, appeal it. The problem is that people get into that appeals process and they hear, oh shit, it may be 3 years before you get your shit seen. And some people are just like, you know what? I can't wait that long. I can't wait 3 years for a decision, where it could be a difference of like, hey, if you're at 90% and you get to that 100%, that's a difference of almost $1,000 a month. Some people are just like, you know what? $1,000 a month for 3 years, that's $36,000 in back pay. That's only depending if you jumped that little amount. If you went from like 10% all the way to 100%, you know how much back pay that is? But the thing is most people, us veterans will get anxious, we'll get nervous of just, oh shit, we got to do this, we got to take care of this shit. And it's just like, oh shit. And then they file another claim. And then all of a sudden your effective date now has just changed to the next date that you have. It doesn't go back to the original claim. And that's something that veterans need to understand, that it's just like, yeah, if you filed for this day, that's your effective date. If you file the same stuff again the following month or the following year, it's going to go off of that new date. Unless you did it where it's just like you did multiples in the same day, then they're just going to consolidate it and put it back like we spoke on last week. But most of the time, people just don't put those things together and they just file a new claim. So instead of it being, oh, you got paid from 2024, you're only going to get paid from there. See, look, somebody just said went from 70% to 100% and it took them 2 years. It's a process. But the thing is the back pay will be nice. If you go like he went from 70 to 100, that's at least almost like $2+ grand that he just got in an increase. Now multiply that times 2 years. It's a nice chunk of change, and it changes it changes a lot. But then at the same time, like looking at it like this. Now, let's say you did it that way, right? And you went through one of these claim companies or claim entities, they would be taking a percentage of that. For some, they have a upfront fee where it's just like, oh, you pay us this time and that's it. And for others, it's just like, oh, we're going to take out a percentage of whatever increase you have. So then that changes everything, because then it's just like, okay, this changes my effective date. This changes the amount of money I thought I was going to get. I'm only getting a quarter. Well, I wouldn't say a quarter, but I'm getting 75% of what I thought I was going to get, or what I should have gotten in back pay, because now I have to pay the other 25% to somebody else because it's under a contract. And that's why I do these, because all this information is free for veterans. All the information you can find here for Veterans Affairs, the Code of Federal Regulations, the Schedule of Ratings, all this stuff is free, but you have entities and companies that want to charge thousands and thousands of dollars to veterans to do this. If the veteran, like, put it like this, if the veteran had those thousands and thousands of dollars, you could have just done it yourself. If you had all that money, you could have just gone and done the research and done it yourself. If you had all that money, you didn't need it. But most of the time, the people are struggling or are hurting in the disabilities that they have, that they don't realize. It's just like, we need this done. We need this information. It's just like, and then that's the thing. So you need a lawyer for an appeal. Most of the time for an appeal, you don't necessarily need a lawyer, because a lot of the times it's just like simple shit that they forgot. Because you got to remember, there's 3 different types of appeals. There's the higher level review, there's the board one, and then there's another one. There's another one that you don't even have to submit new evidence. Is just you saying like, hey, look, the stuff is there, it was just like done wrong. They review it that way. There's one that you can call in and have a conversation and let them know what the issue is, and they'll go about it like that. But that's still, and then there's the third one. See, look, somebody said they use the DAV. That's why VSOs are important. Because the thing is, the VSOs do that for free. Now, all VSOs aren't great. Let's get that straight. But if you go to a VSO will assist you for free. Sometimes it's even more beneficial to pay for these benefits and the services that they provide, because they don't only provide that. They provide a different one. It doesn't, like, what you got to do is, like, JC, if it comes to you needing a VSO, right? You got to ask yourself, what do I need? What am I trying to accomplish? What are the results? Which are you trying to do? Because the thing is the VSO is going to help you, but the thing is you need to know what you need to know and what you want going forward. Because the thing is if you can't stay on your VSO and ask them questions like, hey man, I heard about this. What's going on with this? Or I heard I could probably file for this because this is part of the claim or something like that. Stuff like that. When you tell your VSO that, you could do it. A review level, which it's 3 of them. So if you get your ratings review letter, or if you get any information, they usually send it on the back page. I don't have it on me. That's a document I probably have to look. And it'll give you the 3 different levels of review. I can't think of it. Like today, I'm like mind fog all over. You want to use VSOs, and that's a pretty good statement here off TikTok, that basically using a VSO closer to a military base probably has more experience because they're around the military more. Some VSOs are farther away. They don't have that experience. But at the same time, some VSOs, they get paid the same amount regardless. They're not going to go above and beyond. Some do, some don't. It's the same thing with the VA raters. Some go above and beyond, some don't. CMP examiners, some file stuff for you that you didn't even have you didn't even file. They just look at it and they just be like, oh, okay, I'm going to put this on here too. It's just like some CMPs do, some CMPs don't. Some you went for this situation, you are going to rate for this situation. I'm not adding shit else. I'm not doing no extra job. See, look, somebody just said it. They filed in 2022, got 70%. Filed again in May of 2022, that's when they got it. So they got their money. Second time they filed in January of 2024, they got 100% P&T going back to September 2024, and they made $15K in back pay. It was like, that's a big chunk of change, but imagine now taking that $15K and only getting like 9, because you have to pay an entity for it. And all of it is self-filing. All it is you have to learn what you're doing. A VSO can get you answers quickly because they have access to the system. You can ask them and stuff like that, but you need to know what you're doing and what it is that you are trying to apply for. You're not going to get 100% just off the bat because you just thought you was going to get it. You need to do the heavy lifting for it, and that's what people need to understand. But the DAV, Veteran of Foreign Wars, American Legion, these are big, I'm gonna say corporations, because they're nonprofits, but they're corporations because they got corporations that are affiliated with them, that they sponsor events with them and stuff like that. And that's stuff that you need to see. Those are the bigger ones, but there's other entities that do that. There's, in your community, there's a veteran somewhere. Maybe not from your era. It may be an older era. It might be, there's a veteran damn near in any situation you can find. There's a veteran somewhere near you. Now, does that veteran have enough information? Do they know where to go? Did they get to 100%? Shit, did they even file? Is the biggest thing, because most of the time, most veterans are just like, you know what, I'm done with this shit. And they just leave it as is. Then 10 years down the road, 15 years down the road, they start developing issues. Or their body starts, not recuperating the same, or is not feeling the same. And now they're going to try to file for disability. And now you have to go and backpedal to try to find a connecting value over the past 15 years. It makes it difficult for veterans to get ratings like that. Yeah, and the VSOs are usually in those offices, and usually in your VA hospital, or mostly the VA hospitals, they have a VSO in it. Because with mine, they had the American Legion VSO working within it. And he just helped me file it because I just wanted to get it filed faster. And I was already there. And I was getting documentation. I think I had an appointment or something. And I just went in there and I just spoke to him. And through them was how I got my 100%, even though I had it. It's just that I didn't realize it when I filed before. So if I would have filed all the stuff I had earlier and actually gone through line by line, like I tell people, and understand all my stuff, I would have been 100% off the bat. But since I didn't, I was still learning. In the process, I did go ahead and file a new claim instead of appealing a previous one. I didn't know any better because they had messed it up prior. Then when I got it the next time, they added it, but then the CMP examiner added even more stuff on top of it because she diagnosed me with certain things while I was at the CMP exam. She put that on there, and that helped me. Well, I was going to get the 100% PNT anyway, but that pushed it even further because it's just like, well, you have this also and this. It's just that you never got that diagnosis. So I'm diagnosing with you because all of this is connecting, and that's how I got those ratings. So it depends, but you have to look at it in the manner where it's just like, we have to file better. But if we're taking away, if we are filing these documents, right, and we don't got the VSOs to actually check them, or we don't have the raters to actually go through them and overlook it, or we don't have judges to do it, it just sets the timeline back. Now, the back pay is going to be crazy for these next couple of years. I'll say that because the back pay is going to be, I would say, beautiful for people because the next 3 years, imagine if you have your appeals and you wait in 3 years. If you don't gotta wait, if you gotta wait 3 years to get your appeal, that means that you can possibly get 3 years worth of back pay. Depending on where you get or depending on where you at, it varies. So it's just depending on how you go about it. But 3 years of back pay, that, even if you put it at 1,000, like I said, even if you put it at $1,000, that it's an increase, that's $36,000. That's a nice chunk of change that you just received out of nowhere. And the best part about it is tax free. So this is money that you just gonna literally just get a $36,000 paycheck and not even have to worry about filing for it or anything like that. So that it's convenient, but at the same time, 3 years is a long time for a veteran to be able to get something done. Yes, like Annette says, making sure you file for that intent to file. It's good for a year, and you have enough time. Within that year, you can get that information. But that's why I say if you're gonna talk to a VSO, you need to know what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish, and what can you show. Because the thing is you could do all the filing. You could do the intent to file, like I said, intent to file today, 2025, January 26th, and then you have this claim stays good till 2026. So 1 year from today, that claim is still good. You would just have to file within that year period, and it would still go back to today's date. But the thing is you need to know what you're filing. You need to know what you're trying to accomplish. Are you trying to accomplish 100%? Are you trying to accomplish service connection? Are you trying to accomplish secondary conditions? Like you need to have all that there so that you know, so that way you prepare yourself. You look at the Code of Federal Regulations, and you can look at the Code of Federal Regulations and it's like, okay, boom, I got this. This is what I got. This is what I'm expecting, or this is what I should be getting because of the documentation and the information I am able to provide. Then you take that to the VSO. So if you tell the VSO, hey, I already know I got this, this, this. I was looking at that. I was looking at this because I wasn't too sure. And then you start asking those questions of the things you are unsure. Because then it's like, I already know what I had to do for this. My questions are related to this. So it's like, hey, if it's with the secondary, what documentation do I need? If it's for sleep apnea, what's a better sleep study, or what referrals, or do you know of any locations that offer sleep studies? Like stuff like that. You can use the VSO as a resource to better get your claims. VSO not trying to help 100% PNT vets get SMCs they don't know about and keep discouraging to file. Talking about poking the bear. Been 100% since 2008. 70% vocational expert. Look, the whole thing. Look, this is what I say about poking the bear, and I'm gonna say it always. If you have a medical condition, medical disability that you can die from, if you have a medical condition or medical disability that you can die from, you should go and file for it. If you got your 100% because you did the whole secondary, connected everything to their mama secondary claim, that's when you fall into that problem where people don't want to poke the bear. Because if your first ailment, if the thing that is getting all the secondaries connected to gets better, that means everything else gets better. So that's how a lot of people lose a lot of ratings, because they did secondary to secondary to secondary to secondary. So if that first thing that caused all those secondaries is better, that means all your secondary claims should be better. As a good DBQ is, so question is, let's highlight this real quick. Is it highlighting the message? There we go. So Vincent asked, is a DBQ good from your own doctor with migraine already rated at, damn, you got migraine at 90%? At 0%. It's in step 3. I filed a week ago for an increase. I'm rated at migraine at 0. I'm rated. Okay. I was about to say, I was just like, how the hell did you get a 90% rating if it don't? Okay. So if you have, basically a DBQ is always a beneficial document to have, because now you have your own doctor filling out information and describing what it is you deal with, what it is you got diagnosed with, what it is that you have gone through treatment for. Did you get steroid shot? Did you get put on medication? Are you taking medication? Your medication had to be increased. That's something a lot of veterans forget to say. It was just like, I was at this many milligrams, but my headaches have gotten worse, and now I'm at this many milligrams. Stuff like that is important to state when it comes to that, but your doctor can now fill that out. So now if your doctor is filling it out and stating, yes, I've been seeing Vincent for this time. I've medicated him with this medication. We started out at this prescription level, and then over time it has increased, and now he is at this level. He tells me about having him this amount of times, this isn't like that. Because literally the DBQ ends up being kind of like a statement, but from a medical provider. So instead of it just being like a buddy statement or a Nexus letter is the connecting factor. The DBQ is a medical professional explaining what this information is. So if they can explain it and fill it out correctly, now you have all the information you need for migraines to be diagnosed correctly, rated correctly, and visualized correctly. Because a lot of the times with migraines, veterans don't understand that it's not how painful they are. It's how many times you get them and how much they deteriorate your body, basically. Well, not your body, but like your functionality. How much does it deteriorate? Is it prostrating enough that, you got to lay down, you got to take medication, you got to turn off the lights, all that stuff that goes into it. And that's the stuff that you need to pay attention to, because that's what does that. That's how you get that rating. So if you're rated at 0 right now, a DBQ filled it out, having a diagnosis, having a documentation, a good amount of time for migraine medication is also, there's like a migraine tracking app, and you just put down every time you got a migraine, you start noting that. Depending on how much time it is, depending on if you're gonna file. So if you filed your intent to file date today, you got a whole year worth of time that you can actually fill out and track all the migraines you got, or just wait 6 months, log all those stuff and put it in there as part of the evidence also. But those are the things that you have to pay attention to, that is just like, DBQs are good to have. It's a good thing to have, because it's an extra document that allows the VA rater to see that a medical professional also filled this out and is not just trying to connect the stuff. See, you submitted a buddy app. See, because that's vital information, because it's basically you're stating, hey, I went through this, I have this documentation, I have this app. Here's the amount of times I'm getting headaches. This is what I'm going through. This is how I'm dealing with it. And when you see it that way, it makes sense, and it makes it, like I said, another thing I always say, when you are filing your disability claims, you need to be able to have your disability claim to the point where you can hand it to a random person, and that random person can tell you what is wrong with you. If you are giving it to somebody and they have no idea what the hell you're talking about, imagine that means that if you hand it to a VA rater, even though they know you're filing for disability, they still can't tell what the hell it is if a random person can't. So that just means your stuff isn't either documented well enough, it isn't consolidated enough, or isn't placed together enough to make it an easy win. If you're making it a hard win, that means that the person has to go through the work to try to investigate and do all that stuff. And I can assure you, all these VA raiders is not going high speed because they ain't getting paid any faster for going through claims. Now, if there was like an incentive program, like, hey, VA raiders, the more you get correct, the more that you can file and is correct and there's no issues with, you get like a little bonus for. I bet you fucking VA rating fucking criteria would fucking skyrocket. I bet you that much. But that's not gonna happen. But all right, y'all. We started off that was a quick rambling and stuff like that, but it's just like I said, that's part of the stuff that we're changing issues with. There's a bunch of stuff like DEI hires. What does that mean when it comes to hiring process now? Because you got a 90-day freeze, but then no DEI. So what does that mean? Because the last thing, like I was trying to explain to people, I don't know any corporation that just hires somebody based off race and doesn't actually have them competent enough to do the job. So if people just think that a DEI hire is somebody that isn't competent enough, that's dumb. Because if you go to one of these big corporations and you're going to get hired for coding, just because you have a different race or look different does not mean they're going to hire you over somebody that actually knows how to code. You're going to have some background and you're going to have some knowledge in the stuff too. You're going to know how to code to apply for that job. They're not going to hire you just because you're a DEI because of that. And that's something I think people need to understand. A DEI hire does not mean you are not qualified. I don't know any corporation that is going to hire somebody that isn't qualified because they need to fill a spot. If we can't fill the spot, we can't fill the spot. Because everybody trying to apply can't code, and we need somebody to code. They're not going to just hire somebody that can't code. It was just like people need to get that realization out of there. But that's also stuff because veterans are DEI. Like I said, that connotation that most corporations, most civilians sometimes even think that way. That it's just like, oh, he was in the military, he got PTSD. Bro, what? It's just like, what? And that's what it comes to. It was just like, you're a veteran, right? You ain't all up there. You ain't all up there. You're a veteran. You're not all up there. Did you? Why is always the first question? Did you deploy? Did you off somebody? Like it's the usual questions that most people do that, and they ask, oh, where did you serve at? What did you do? Would you do this? You do that? So there's already that there. But then you got to remember, there's disabled veterans also. So DEI is to be including them also because you are a disabled veteran. You're a disabled veteran. You probably have some mental health issues because find me a veteran that don't. And then that's part of it. It was just like, yeah, we're going to include you. You know why? Because chances are you may be dealing with something. So we're going to make sure that we have that veteran designation. Because if that wasn't the case, then there wouldn't need to be a veteran designation for you to get a job. At least that's my way of thinking or my way of looking at it. But all right, let's go into what we were going to do. This is just going to be a continuation of the federal benefits of 2025, basically the federal benefits for veterans, their spouses, and all that stuff. We're going to continue going down this list and going through this. We left off on the VRE program. We went through a bunch of the programs last week and all the stuff. And it's just basically, this is just giving you a rundown of what the benefits are we have, how to apply, what do they mean, stuff like that. And it's just like a breakdown that was given to us veterans by chooseva.gov, not the regular va.gov site. So it's choose.va.gov. And if you find this and you check this, you find this information and you see all that in there. And that's where you'll get, hey, congratulations, Ray, on getting your 100% PNT. But that's mostly what this is. So it's just us going over the VRE program, which used to be the vocational rehabilitation and employment program. But it's the same program, just got a facelift with the name. That's about it. Um, Also known as Chapter 31, provides services to members, veterans with service connected disabilities, and employment handicap to help them to prepare for, obtain, and maintain suitable employability or employment, basically. These differ because remember, if you are 100% PNT, you can work, no limit into income. If you are 100% TDIU, you have to stay below the $15,000 poverty line level of work. So you can work up to that point, and then after that, you can't earn anything else, because basically then you would be employable. The biggest thing that people don't understand is that the VRE program has different tracks. So when I say tracks, is like there's different things that you can go through with that. So let's see, because I can roll. Can I rotate it? No. It's not letting me rotate it. There you go. But this is basically it. So it has eligibility for veterans, eligibility for service members. So remember, you can do it as a veteran, and some of them you can't do it also while you're in service. VRE entitlement, they still call it a vocational rehabilitation counselor, which is interesting. So they changed the name of it, but you still have a rehabilitation counselor, which that's the entitlement. You get a counselor, works with the veteran to determine if an employment handicap exists. An employment handicap exists if a veteran service connected disability impairs his or her ability to prepare for, obtain, and maintain suitable employment. After a favorable entitlement decision is made, the veteran and VRC work together to develop an individualized rehabilitation plan. Yes, you can still work. If you're 100% PNT, you can still work. If you're 100% TDIU, you can still work. Just that if you're TDIU, you have a limit as to how much you can make per year. If you're 100% PNT, you can work as much as you want, make as much as you want, and you still get the same stuff. If you're TDIU, you don't get the ability to do that. You basically have to work. Most is up to 15,000. And remember, there's 4 different ones, but the other 2 is temporary and scheduler, meaning that you can still get evaluated. So these are the 5 different tracks that I want to just highlight. That this is basically what. Oh, so with this one, I have to scroll this way. So you got the 5 different tracks. The 5 different tracks are reemployment, rapid access to employment, self-employment, employment through long-term services, which I may have to make this a bit smaller. Can I do that? There we go. So I could scroll through it. These are the 5 tracks. And then independent living. So just a breakdown of what these are. So reemployment targets veterans and service members who serve on active military service or in National Guard or reserves and now returning to employers for whom they worked prior to going on active duty. So this is one basically, hey, let's make sure that if a person had the job already, we could get them back to it. Rapid access to employment targets veterans who express a desire to obtain employment as soon as possible and already have the necessary skills to qualify for competitive employment in a suitable job. So this one is basically like a way to fast track you. So, hey, you already got what you need. You already got your degrees, you got your experience, you got your resume. This is a way like, hey, let's try to get him that job faster or give him the availability to get reached out into certain specific jobs that he already fits into. Self-employment targets veterans who have limited access to traditional employment, need flexible work schedules, or need a more accommodating work environment due to their disabling conditions or other life circumstances. So the self-employment one is just like, hey, are you able to work on your own, or do we have to find jobs that work for you? Most of the time, self-employment is the best way to doing it because sometimes it is difficult. If you deal with migraines all the time, that means you're going to be out of work every now and then. But you got to remember, depending on the job, some jobs allow you to work in that manner and some don't. There's stuff going on right now through the Court of Appeals and VA court that's trying to identify the differences and the metrics that are going to TDIU. Because the thing is just like, yes, you may have a disabling factor of a condition, right? So let's say migraines. It doesn't mean that you can't work. It just basically means that you may be out of work, like not being able to attend work or go to your job because of your migraine situation. So that's a different thing. But then that's what's disabling you from keeping a maintainable employment. But if you are TDIU and let's say you deal with the migraines, but they accommodate you for the migraines, then that doesn't traditionally work as a regular traditional employment. Because it's like you have the Disabilities Act also, which makes sure to cover people when they are disabled. But this is giving you extra I wouldn't say perks, but assistance with your disability to work. But self employment, usually you don't have to do that because as self employed, you work when you have to or need to, instead of it being you have to be there all the time. Employment through long term services targets veterans who need long term services such as remedial or refresher courses, specialized training, and or post secondary education to obtain and or maintain suitable employment. This is the one that most, if not all, veterans use. Uh, this is the one that people rely on the most because this is like a secondary GI Bill to you. Uh, Post secondary education. That's what most people get. Like, let's say you want to get into a specific job type, but you need the education factor or you need credentialing or something like that. You would go through the employment through long term services because they are trying to make sure you get the accreditation or the schooling for it in order to be able to get your job. But you got to remember, you need to know what job you're trying to apply for or what you're trying to do so that way you can explain that. Because if you don't know what you're going in there for and you tell them, hey, you need a degree to get work, they're going to look at you like, well, you need to be more specific. Otherwise they could deny you for that. Independent living targets veterans who may be unable to immediately return to work, but with assistance of VRE services they are able to improve their independence in daily living. Rehabilitation program. The basic period of eligibility in which VRE benefits may be used is 12 years. So keep this in mind. There is a time frame. 12 years from a veteran's date of separation from active military service or the date VA first notified a veteran that they have been granted a compensable service-connected disability, whichever is later. um, as of January 5th, 2021, the 12-year eligibility period does not apply to claimants who were discharged or released from active military service on or after January 1st of 2013. Veterans may be provided up to 48 months of full-time services or the part-time equivalent based on the extent of services needed to complete the rehabilitation program. Rehabilitation plans that provide services to achieve the maximum level of independence cannot exceed 24 months, but may be extended in certain circumstances. So you have to work through that. Then we have the VRE housing adaptation grant. We went over that last week where there's a lot of grants and stuff that are available to veterans to use to adapt their homes, whether it's making the doorways wider, implementing a ramp on there, or trying to see if you can change. I think they do the bathtubs also. If you need to get like one of those special ones that have the handles and stuff like that, or you can roll into it, stuff like that is what you need to look into when it comes to the home adaptation grants. And there's different levels. As you can see, there's the housing one, then there's the regular one. When it comes to employment services, they give you the different ones that they can help you with. And there's a couple of them. So on the job training program, the non-paid work experience program, special employer incentive, vet success on campus, and the Chapter 36 personalized career planning and guidance. So Chapter 36 is basically what the VRE falls under. That's the title you would have to look into. Title 36. Pension program. So this is one that it's for those older service members that fall into this criteria. So this one we're gonna go. We'll read this one a bit more in depth because this is one that gets a lot of questions. And it's determinations because money is money. At this point, it's just like with all these changes, the possible hikes in food and necessities and all that stuff. It's something that needs to be paid attention to because all the little dollars here and there add up. All these benefits add up when it comes to it. If you have access to a base, go on base and purchase your stuff. If you're gonna buy electronics, you're gonna buy certain things, go on base and do it. It's tax free for you as a veteran. Those are advantages there. Those that tax adds up at the end of the day when you're making purchases. So keep that in mind. You have access to do it, use it. So pension, VA helps veterans and their families cope with financial challenges by providing supplemental income through the Veterans Pension and Survivors Pension benefit programs. Payments are made to bring the veterans or survivors' total income, including other retirement or Social Security income, to a level set by Congress. Unreimbursed medical expenses may reduce countable income for VA purposes. The Veterans Pension. Congress establishes the maximum annual pension rate. Payments are reduced by the amount of countable income of the veteran, spouse, and dependent children. When a veteran without a dependent is furnished nursing home or domiciliary care by VA, the pension is reduced to an amount not to exceed $90 per month after 3 calendar months of care. So eligibility. And the benefits, it has the link there. So like I said, this will be in there. So that way, if you need to go and look this up, links and phone numbers are provided within this document. So that's the good thing with this. They went in depth and they made sure that you had all the information you needed in order to get that done. Eligibility for veterans pension. Veterans who entered active duty after September 7th of 1980 generally must have served at least 24 months or the full period for which they called or ordered to active duty. And those are like National Guard, Reserve type stuff, with at least 1 day during a wartime period. For those separated prior to September 7th, 1980, a veteran must have at least 90 days of active military service with at least 1 day during a recognized wartime period to qualify for a VA pension. The 90-day active military service requirement does not apply to veterans discharged from the military due to a service-connected disability. So if you got med boarded, the veteran's discharge must have been under conditions other than dishonorable, and the disability must be for reasons other than the veteran's own willful misconduct. Basically, you didn't cause it on your own. So it's just like if an injury happened or something and it was like blatantly that you did it when you wasn't supposed to, it wasn't in the military when it happened, but you just happened to do it. That's what they're trying to get at. The veteran's discharge must have been under conditions other than dishonorable. Okay. In addition to meeting the minimum service requirement, low-income wartime veterans may qualify for pension if they meet certain service income and net worth limits set by law, and are 65 years or older, you're permanent and totally disabled, a patient in a nursing home receiving skilled nursing care, which you would fall under the home and attendance also. VA approved medical foster home, receiving Social Security disability insurance, or receiving supplemental security income. Yearly family income and net worth must be less than the amount set by Congress to qualify for veterans pension benefit. Payments are made to bring the veteran's total income, including other retirement or Social Security income, to a level set by Congress. It doesn't specify where that is, but to apply for a veteran's pension is VA Form 21P 527 EZ. And 526 EZ is the one that is for filing a disability claim. And then you got, so that's where they switch it to the next one being aid and attendance, housebound benefits, special monthly pension. Veterans who are eligible for a VA pension and require the aid and attendance of another person may be eligible for a higher maximum annual pension rate. And then it'll say there, and you can go apply there. Reductions for Medicaid covered nursing facility care. It gives you that also. Then it goes into the education and training. So this is one of the bigger things that most veterans take advantage of when it comes to using their education benefits. A lot of active duty service members, what they need to do is that they need to make sure and maintain that they are taking care of themselves while in service. Also, you can still get your degree and stuff like that and not use your GI Bill, not use the VRE program, not even come out of pocket if you are going to school while in service. If you're going to do a 4 year, let's say you do a 4 year contract, in those 4 years, you can at least take one class every semester. Yeah, it's not going to get you your degree right away, but at the same time, you're going to be able to get that information and you're going to get less time needed to complete your bachelor's or your associates or your master's because of the fact that you completed most of it while in service and using the tuition assistance. The tuition assistant assisted you in getting this without having to pay out of pocket. Now, as a veteran, you have the post 9/11 GI Bill, gives you the eligibility criteria. Content of the benefit has a pretty long list. So generally, service members or eligible veterans may receive up to 36 months of entitlement under post 9/11. No beneficiary may use more than 48 months of education and training benefits from any combination of programs, with the exception of VRE benefits. So that's where a lot of people don't understand. It's just like you can have your VRE and you can have your GI Bill. That's where veterans tend to forget, or sometimes they don't even know about the VRE. Most veterans tend to use the VRE after they found out about using their GI Bill. So if you go through and you look at the VRE, it's just like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to do this. I want to go to school here. I want to use this to get a better degree in this. Then you can use that going forward. If not, you could just use your GI Bill. But then depending, like I said, it also depends on what state you're in. Because if you're in Texas, came out of Texas, you can use the Hazelwood Act. You use this Hazelwood Act, you literally can get a degree by Texas paying for it. Then you can use the VRE program to get your bachelor's degree. And then you can use your GI Bill to pay for your master's degree. And all that, basically everything you just did without having to spend a dime or owe a dime in money, which is a very big problem when it comes to it. Because if you owe school in multiple levels, it's like, okay, this is an issue. We need to fix this. Now I owe in these 3 levels. Now with this, going about it that way, you get your stuff done and you're not owing anything at the back end of the day. So that's why it's important to pay attention to those things and look into them, because depending on your state has certain things that you can use. The E5 with dependents, based on how much you're there and where you're going at, is a big time. Because if you're a full-time student, you get the full BAH. If you're a half-time student, you get part of the BAH. If you get a part of it, like that. So it depends on how many classes you're taking, but it's still something. And additional benefits under the post 9/11 GI Bill include a yearly books and supplies stipend of up to $1,000 per year, which is paid to you basically, not to the school. That is for you to purchase. They'll be like, okay, you're taking 3 classes. The amount of money that usually these semesters cost, maybe like $400-$500. Let's just say they'll give you a stipend for that semester, and then go there. But the whole thing can only be up to $1,000 for the whole year. So this is there, and then you have the Yellow Ribbon Program. Yellow Ribbon Program allows institutions of higher learning in the U.S. and overseas to voluntarily enter into an agreement with VA to fund tuition and fees that exceeded the amounts payable under the post 9/11 GI Bill. So that's to keep in mind. That is just the Yellow Ribbon Program is there for a school that may be way more expensive than the limits. You're trying to go to like a Harvard or MIT, that it may cost way more than a regular, still accredited university, but it's way more. If they have this program, they will be able to join and then be like, all right, as long as they're attending this school, we'll pay the remaining half, and the GI Bill will complete this, and they'll be able to get their degree here. The Marine Gunnery Sergeant John David Fry Scholarship. This is one that a lot of people don't hear about, doesn't get mentioned too much. The Fry Scholarship provides post 9/11 GI Bill benefits to the children and surviving spouses of service members who died after September 10th, 2001. While serving on duty other than active duty as a member of the armed forces, from a service connected disability while a member of the selected reserve. Eligible beneficiaries attending school. Okay, well, I'm also having a hard time with. Uh, I wasn't gonna touch on that subject too much of the whole Hegseth thing. Um, the I'll just keep that brief. The problem I have with Hegseth is that I understand. Look, I have no problem with people. I got no problem with people because I know people make mistakes. I know there's everybody is imperfect. People make mistakes. We make errors. Stuff happens in our life. Life be lifing. That's the best way of putting it. Life be lifing. And sometimes you make some bad decisions and you overcome those. I completely understand that. The thing is that when you have a bunch of criteria that knocks off a lot of qualified people that don't have that criteria, that's the problem. Hegseth is a combat vet. Cool. He was in Guantanamo Bay. And I think he went to Iraq and Afghanistan. I'm not sure. I can't remember his thing. Um, but this dude never served at a high level. So he never served at a brigade level. He never served at a division level. So it's just like you have somebody that has never served at those higher echelons, has never been put in those positions in different echelons, so doesn't really know what the army operates as in those levels, and you are putting them into serve in a position where everybody else has at least had quantifiable experience within the military and serving in those different high-end positions that see the military for how it is at those levels. He hasn't done that, and there's a ton of other people that have, so that's why I have an issue with it. He made mistakes, cool. He's changed them, he's fixed them, cool. But you still had those mistakes in your file. If people are not being disqualified for having that stuff in their file, you mean to tell me that there wasn't somebody else that was more qualified than him? Because it's all about merit, right? As they claim to say, if it's merit, he's definitely nowhere near the top of the list. So if we're going off merit, this man is not at the top of the list of all the other ones that are there. I was just like, you could have tried to find retired sergeant majors of the army or sergeant majors of whichever branch, and they have more perspective than that. Or you could take a retired general, which most of the time it is. They have the experience as a general. These people are overseeing probably a whole installation as compared to a platoon. You have more stuff to address. So that's why with that, I was just like, I don't agree. Like, I don't agree with a lot of the stuff. I'm just like, I'm hoping he does a great job. Hopefully he proves me wrong. That's the best way I could go about that. But as of right now, that decision to me was it was not the best decision that we could have done. It is putting a yes man into a position that distinctively needs a person that has a voice of their own and has the balls to say something against it. That's how these people are military advisors. It was like, yes, we understand that you're giving the orders, but sometimes some orders you just need a bit more clarification on as to what exactly the fuck are we doing. Or just like clear intent, stuff like that. But if there's no clear intent and no specific guidance, it's kind of hard. This dude doesn't, I don't know, but we'll see, I guess. Then you got Edith or Edith. I say Edith because that's kind of like how my mom's name is, but Edith Norse Rogers STEM Scholarship. This is one that is very mum on the situation. This is one that most people don't. I didn't even really hear about this one till I started looking into it. The Edith North Rogers Science, Technology, Engineering, and Math scholarships will provide up to 9 months of additional benefits to a maximum of $30,000 to qualifying veterans and Fry scholars seeking a qualifying undergraduate STEM degree alone or as part of a dual degree program. or have earned a qualifying post-secondary degree or graduate degree and are enrolled in covered clinical training program for healthcare professionals, or have earned a qualifying STEM degree and are seeking a teaching certification. So that's another benefit if you're going into that line of work when it's dealing with science, technology, engineering, or math, or if it's in the medical or health professionals thing, where you get another stipend. Well, I wouldn't say stipend, but you get another scholarship where it helps you assist to get that certification or that degree. To be eligible, veterans of Friar Scholars must have exhausted or will exhaust their post 9/11 GI Bill within 180 days and must have completed at least 60 semester credit hours or 90 quarter credit hours toward their degree already. A qualifying undergraduate STEM program requires at least 120 semesters or 180 quarter credit hours for completion to be a teaching certification program. So, like I said, with most of these programs, you have to pay attention to it. The thing is most veterans don't know what they are, but a lot of these programs are still there. It's just the fact that most have no idea where they exist. And it's like, and it's funny, Shannon, that you say that. Because the thing is I know a lot of people are not going to agree with that sentiment, but at the same time, it's like we got to be real here. Veterans that served under yes people, ask them how they felt about it. Just ask them how they felt about it. Or it's just this, yes, that, yes, this, yes, that. It's just like, yes, the military, I understand that. Maybe that's the thought process you had. But a lot of these yes people are the same yes people that are taking advantage of people, intimidating people, persecuting people. Because you could say that also, because some of these people are in charge, and it's just like once they don't like somebody, they're hell bent on making sure that that person is no longer in service. So that goes into it, but it all depends. Survivors and dependents educational assistance. And that's a JC. That's all I'm saying. Is like I know there's gonna be a ton of veterans that watch this channel, and then if they listen to how I feel on a personal level, they may not like it. They'll come in here to get information, though. I know that much. But once I start talking sense and stuff like that, like certain things is like you have to say, and certain things they're just not said. If you're working for a yes person, it's never beneficial. Because all it is yes, yes, yes. You get burnt out, they get all the recognition. You get hit with nothing but rocks, basically, because you don't get nothing from it. It's them taking care of themselves, not trying to take care of you. And I can ask veterans the same thing. Who were the best leaders you had? The ones that actually looked out for you. Those are the ones that you actually paid attention to, respected, and worked your ass off for. People always respected the rank, but some people took that rank a bit too far. Some people just thought because they had the rank, they could do as they please. And in certain things, you have to be held accountable. It was just like, look, this dude does what he does. He's a, and that's the thing, JC. It's just like I appreciate that because the thing is y'all don't have to agree with me. People don't have to agree with me, but at the same time, we have to have some truth to it. I was like, you may not agree with me, but the thing is the truth is there. It's in the writing. It was just like you have a person that has checked off, the crazy thing is about it is just like you have this person that was selected, right? Tell me that in the military, a person like this is gonna get promoted. Well, you have EO complaints, you have SA complaints, you have alcohol issue complaints. I was just like, you have all that stuff. You mean to tell me that this person is getting promoted over somebody that don't have any of that on their record? Maybe they are, maybe they're not, but it's definitely not off of merit. People ain't gonna agree with that, but the thing is that's the problem. We need to start talking. We need to be truthful about these things. A lot of these things are in place, and a lot of people don't want to talk about them because it's just like you try to have a conversation, and people want to disregard it. People don't want to pay attention to it. They just want to be like, you know what? I'm not gonna listen to this. And people need to understand that it's just like we have to set a criteria for accountability, and that's something that we're not doing well as veterans. It's just like we want to be accountable here, but then over there we don't want to say anything. It was just like we want to be a and I like to throw this out to these other YouTube channels. We want to be we assist veterans with their claims and all this stuff, but we want to charge you money for it. So which one is it? Because you're providing a service that you're still charging veterans, but then you're doing it otherwise. It's like, yeah, it's time consuming. Yes, this is a 2 hour period where I just assist veterans. I was just like, why do I not do consultations? Why? Because that means I would have to start charging veterans. Because if you want me to sit down with you and go through the whole process, see what you did right, see what you did wrong, talk about it and all that stuff, go through your paperwork and stuff like that, I'm gonna charge you. That's time consuming. I'm doing this for free to assist veterans. I'm not charging anybody for it. This is just like, hey, you ask any questions, I'm gonna get you an answer. Other places, they'll give you that and then they want to charge you for free information. Like, look at all these documents. When I show you the CFR, the DBQs and all, that's all stuff that's available for free, but people charge for it. But then they move the posters just like, oh, we don't want to do this. If you're a person that tends to complain about veterans doing fraud or committing fraud, and you're providing a service that a separate entity is giving you documentation that they haven't really solidified or actually certified because they're not your doctor and they just happen to be creating it, you're part of the problem. But what are you going to say? Oh, that's I just refer you to them. So you refer to them to people that do that and take advantage of it because it's like, oh yeah, I highly recommend working with this company, but this company is going to take your money. But then you're going to make videos about people taking people's money, but then you're going to work with a entity that does the same thing. You're a hypocrite at that point. But at the same time, if we are electing people into certain positions or we want to get rid of DEI. We want to get rid of the EO programs and stuff like that. Stuff that was implemented into the military and to veterans and stuff like that because of the issues that were ongoing. Now, if you are telling me that all these issues are gone, I'm all for it. But we all know that's full of shit. DEI training or what is it? The LGBTQ plus, when they were having a problem with that kind of training. I was just like, we went from a military that had don't ask, don't tell to opening it up. And then you started noticing the wave of service members that were part of that community that were just not themselves because they had to hide, but they wanted to serve their country. So you had people that wanted to serve this country and sacrifice for this country, but because of their beliefs, were told they could not be a part of the system. That's kind of crazy. But people don't want to talk about that. People are just like, oh, it's the trainings. It was just like, if you were in the military, best believe that when you got an EO or SHARP or any of these trainings, you got it once a year. You can't tell me that a once a year program has infiltrated the whole military and the whole military is feeling this way. No, the military is feeling this way because we have less accountability on those seniors and those accountable officers and NCOs that are not getting the repercussions for the stuff they're doing. So when you show the lower levels that, hey, so and so can get away with this leader could get away with this, but if you do it, nah, we'll kick you out. We'll keep them and move them around. What do you think that tells the rest of the service members? Because you can't tell me every veteran in here, if you served once or not, that you didn't have a crooked ass part of leadership somewhere in your organization. Everybody was just straight lined, right? Bullshit. It's the fucking military. You had people from all sorts of places, all sorts of backgrounds. Everything was different. But at the same time, if you had leadership that held them accountable, then the rest of the formation knew, shit, if we do it, we gonna get hemmed up. When it came to mass punishment, when it came to the military, it was just like, all right, all of y'all, well, so-and-so got drunk, so nobody else can go on the weekend, or passes have been revoked, or whatever the case may be, by somebody else. I was just like, what happened? People started getting on that person, or us ourselves would fix situations on our level and be like, hey, bro, you fucked up my weekend, man. Can't be doing this shit no more. And we straighten it out that way. But then mass punishment happens. Everybody knows what the situation is. With here, you have instances where it's just like, hey, if a person had an SA or committed an SA, what do? They either get to retire early, which to me is fucking crazy, and then they go. But that's neither here or there, right? Because now you're allowing this. You're basically saying that, hey, once you get to these levels, you can get away with this shit. But at the lowest levels, we're gonna kick you out the military, which is the exact opposite of how it should be. Because the fact is, it's just like if you have less time in service, you should have a bigger margin of error. If you've been in the fucking military for 15 plus years, or if you're a first sergeant, sergeant major, you've been in the army quite some fucking time, that if you are getting caught doing these things, you don't have a fucking excuse. Especially if you were one of those that were getting rid of people because they were doing the same thing you were doing. Because that's the one thing that I always thought. It was just like, look at all these leaders that we keep on finding on Army What the Fucks, or on just certain pages that are or there. They just move positions, get retired. That shit happens all the time. But having woke soldiers is the problem. See how dumb it sounds? That just sounds dumb. And we got to be honest with it. Let's stop the stupidity act. Because the thing is all these senior leaders are doing that shit, but they just get moved to a different position, or they just happen to get a fucking they get put on orders pretty fucking fast to go somewhere else. So at those levels, it's like, oh, these people can get away with this. These people can get away with this. But at my level, I can't. I just got here and I got a DUI. I didn't know that. I didn't know that the ramifications were I could get kicked out of the military, or this does that. Some people don't know that, but if you've been in the military for fucking 17 years, you best believe you've seen a bunch of DUIs. You best believe you've seen the correspondence. So you've seen what happens. But when a person that does this just moves along, or gets pushed to another position, or gets to retire with their benefits, because that's the part that gets me even more. You allowing these people to fucking serve this country, do wrong within the country, do wrong within our government, do wrong within our military, but then you still letting them exit with no actual consequences and no actual ramifications to what they did. Some, they do get them. Not all. What's up, CSW? And it's just like, some people don't understand that. Like, those are things that need to be spoken about. I was just like, yeah, I know I'm going off on a tangent. We were doing this, but it's just like, these things need to be spoken about, because the thing is these are changes that are going to benefit and be a detriment to our service members. They're going to become veterans also. That was like that. It's gonna happen, because the thing is you have all this shit that happens. It's just like, why do you think I was gonna be. I could have been an E7 at 7 to 8 years. COVID hit, knocked out my SLC class, so I wasn't able to do it. And then they changed the whole OML, all this process. Even then, if I would have re-enlisted before I got it out, right now it would have been a Sergeant First Class cruise at year 10. Right now, I would be hitting, I'm at like 12 and a half years if I would have stayed in. I would basically be getting, or going on 13 years in the military. I would have had my Sergeant First Class, and I would have been looked at for Master Sergeant after this year. Why do you think I got out, though? A lot of it was because I wanted to be around my family. But the rest of it was, I was just like, the leadership I had was trash. There was no mentorship. There was no actual leadership. It was more do as I do as I say, not as I do. You had a couple of, the amount of first sergeants and commanders that got relieved. And what did they do? Oh, they worked at SPO now. Or they worked at the S3. or we just shipped them across Germany to the other location by brigade, and now they work over there. So it's like you seen what they did here, but you didn't really punish them. All you did was just like, hey man, you fucked up. We got to move you. Let's move you over here. That happens. Who's to say they're not going to do the same shit again at that location? I was just like, DAI rubs some people wrong and doesn't, but they even kept the rank in the prison. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like generals and colonels, they get over just like, bro, if you disgrace the fucking United States military at the level of disgrace that you put it on there should be no reason why the fuck you get your rank, why you get your benefits, or why you keep benefits. I was like, yeah, you worked long and hard for that shit, but you just threw that shit all the fuck away. The same way that it happens on the civilian side. If a person does what the fucking generals and colonels and all that stuff in a place of discipline, does the stuff and they're not in the military, what do? They get sent to jail. They don't get to keep their job when they come back. They don't get to keep any benefits. They just lose their fucking job and it's just like, good luck to you. Now you in prison. But you got these people that are committing sexual assault. You have all sorts of sexual assault. You have all sorts of fraud. Didn't they have like just not long ago, every now and then you see a pop over just like all this stuff. But yeah, Private Joe, private from E1 to E6, you are treated as if you're the worst of the scum. But then that person that was up top that made it all the way to that position has been doing this for how long? Because they just got caught at those levels. So you mean to tell me that this person just started doing it once they hit general? Let's not be naive here. This person just decided to start acting a fool once they made it to those levels. No. This person has been doing it all along their career. It just happens that they got caught up at that level. Yep. And the same thing too. Chandler says it correctly. It depends on if you are in good with the higher up, the victim is sent off and a flag on their file. Basically, they were the problem. You committed SA, but the victim was the problem. Now the victim gets looked at. You know what? The one time I heard that it was just like, hey man, y'all don't want to do, you don't want to, I forget where I was at. And they was just like, hey man, you shouldn't file this or something like that because it might ruin their career. And I was like, excuse the fuck out of me. I was just like, no, they gonna file this shit. They gonna do it however they want to do. This is gonna go on record. This is not gonna be just brushed away because you don't want to fuck up Joe Schmo's fucking career because they did something they weren't supposed to. It's not how fucking accountability works. That's not how discipline works in the military. That's the problem we fucking have, where people get away with bullshit or get away with stuff that's happening and there's no repercussions for it. It was like the same thing with you could even go with the Veterans Affairs stuff. All these entities that are fucking making bullshit ass documents for service members to get a disability claim. If I'm writing you a fucking Nexus letter and I've never fucking seen you in person a day in my life, bro, that's questionable as fuck. I'm sorry. I was like, I know some people went and did that. I was just like, that's cool. But that is questionable as fuck. To tell me that you did everything the right way, but then you went and got your letter and your diagnosis and your medical stuff from somebody that's never seen you in person before. I was just like, we got to hold people accountable because that's what messes up the system. Because the thing is people forget that now that you're going through these claims and coming up with craziness just to tie stuff up to get yourself a higher rating, you're still taking up resources. You're still taking up time. You wasting people's time. Because the thing is for some, they don't have 100% disability. And I've said that many times here before. Not everybody deserves 100% disability. Not everybody's at that point. As you go further in life and you get older, some shit does get worked in. Yeah, you should be getting higher compensation for it. But some people, Y'all don't have these many ailments that y'all claiming because y'all never had it documented before, but then all of a sudden you magically just have the shit. That's fraud. But yeah, basically a Nexus day in a Nexus letter in a day, bro. You diagnosed me and treated me and seen all my shit, and now you diagnose me with this shit. But then you have actual veterans that are out here actually going to their fucking doctors, waiting the fucking 3-4 months to actually get the referral, get to see that specialist, then get diagnosed with it and go through the process there. But you got somebody that just managed to do this shit in a day. Come on now. We got to be honest here, man. Well, this is where the accountability stuff is. It's just like we allow shit like this to happen, and then people wonder why the shit is so fucked up. It was just like we're not holding people accountable. Incinerator, it's gonna take some time now. You got to remember, there's a hiring freeze. There's like, and this I'm gonna just go. We're gonna. I just want to talk with y'all because this is kind of like the stuff I wanted to talk about on when I did the when I was setting up the little podcast stuff, and this is basically what I wanted to talk about because I wanted to see what people wanted to say and what their thoughts was. It was just like, look, I am never going to deny my thoughts. They're my thoughts. This is my channel. I'm gonna speak my mind. People don't agree with it. That's fine. I got no issue with that. If people don't want to agree, you don't have to agree. This is my opinion. The same way you can make a statement, I'm not gonna agree with you just because you state it. But at the same time, I'm not gonna be childish and just be like, you know what, I can't talk to this person again. I was just like, some people have certain motivations and some people have certain perspectives that I don't understand. Some are just fucking idiots. I'll be plain and simple with that. Some people don't know any better. Some are just idiots. Some don't have the proper guidance. So I don't make judgments of that when it comes to having conversations about these things. But these conversations need to be had. Because the thing is you got to remember, a hiring freeze means people ain't getting hired. We're already behind, right? When it comes to making federal government employees work at the office, what exactly does that mean? What exactly does that mean to VA raiders that work from home? What does that mean for VA raiders that work remotely? What does that mean if they're not even close to a location? If they're not close to where they're gonna go? Oh, but there's a girl. For no reason. See, incinerator, that's part of the problem. And I don't want to call you out and stuff like that, but it doesn't matter who you are, what you did. That's their issue. You have your own issue. See, look, Annette went from 0 to 90%, and it took her 40 years. Annette, if y'all don't know, she has been the only person I have done a consultation with. And it was just giving her advice. Free. Just gave her advice. After that, I was just like, you know what? This is time consuming. I didn't go in depth with Annette, but it was just like, sometimes people need an outside perspective of where to go. But that's it. But that's her issue. Incinerator, you have your issue. Your 30% has nothing to do with somebody that's at 100%, because you may say for no reason. Have you spoken to the person? Have you seen their file? You're not going to, because that's private information. But do you know what they went through in the military? Do you know if maybe they got SA'd or not? Do you know if they had a tear or something? Do you know if it's certain things? You don't know what it is there. I understand what you're saying and complaining about. Incinerate. It could be a friend. It cannot be a friend. Each veteran has their own issues. Each veteran goes through different things, and not each veteran actually shows what's wrong with them. So that's why it's like you can't base it off of that. Some people deal with PTSD. I deal with PTSD, but I have triggers. Those triggers do not happen here while I'm in front of my computer where I am known where I'm at. I'm safe. I don't have people like, but you wouldn't be able to tell certain things with certain people. You can't tell. That's the thing, New Age. No, like I understand it is a game. The thing is it's working the system. I understand the working the system part. The problem I have is the lying to the system part. Because working the system just means it's just like, hey, Code of Federal Regulations, M21-1, the document we were going over with the federal benefits. That's part of the game. Work the system would mean you are using the available stuff that's there for you to use, and you are using it in the way it's supposed to be used. And then, yes, you will win. But when it's veterans that are taking advantage of the system, not just working the system, but rigging the system in their favor, that's where we run into issues. But nobody wants to talk about that because everybody's just trying to chase the money. But when you're committing fraud for it, everybody wants to turn a blind eye. But then when somebody does something outrageous and they're just like, we have a problem with this, then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, we got to do it. Like people been doing this for years. All of a sudden everybody's just like now aware. Yep. And that's the thing. That's what I say Fire and Ice is just like, look, I'm a veteran. I don't care what your political affiliations are. I don't. I don't care what your political affiliations are. Because the thing is the whole purpose of these workshops is you are a veteran. I am assisting as veterans. It's a good time. Appreciate that from Germany. Hello. I don't know too much. I learned a couple of words. I keep forgetting because it's been a while, but that's the thing. We are all veterans. At the end of the day, everybody's just trying to put down one veteran or another veteran because of this reason, that reason. It's just like we need to come together as veterans because only veterans can help out veterans. Ain't nobody else concerned about us. Who the fuck else is concerned about veterans besides veterans? Because when you don't get your pay or you have a problem with a benefit or something like that, who comes out of the woodwork to make sure to take care of it? It's not anybody else. It's supposed to be you. You're the veteran. But then when you're taking away information and trying to dilute what another person is going through or something like that, that's part of the problem. Because the thing is, it's just like, if this person got, or this person got this, hey, bro, how'd you get there? What doctor did you see? Or like, what did you ask for your doctor? What did you do that? Do it the correct way. Because the thing is, it's just fraud going all over. But then that's the thing, lack of accountability. Lack of accountability while in service and it transitions to out of service. Because the thing is, you know how many people have gone through SA and just never filed a claim for it because they seen what that other person went through when they actually filed for it? You know how many times that shit happens in the military? You know how many times you can go and actually make a request or talk to leadership about, hey, we need to keep an eye on this guy. He's off doing this. We need to keep an eye on this guy. This guy ain't, something's going on with this guy. We need to keep an eye on him. The next thing you know, he offed himself because nobody wanted to take heed to what was being said. Where's the accountability there? That story isn't going to come out. That story isn't going to come out where they say, oh, this person was being watched, or we told leadership about this guy and they just disregarded it. You never hear that story because that's accountable information right there for that leadership because you were not actually taking care of your soldiers. But we'll just leave it as, oh, the person just decided to off themselves because they did it. No, it doesn't work that way. We have to hold people accountable and see what it is. It's not just like that. As an eldest child, hold on. All the information available now was not available when I got out of the military. I was not able to go to sick call freely. There was a punishment associated with it. Sick call ranger. Yeah. And that's what people don't understand. People don't understand that the connotation of back then, a sick call ranger, that was a bad designation. Now it gets used, but not used in the same manner. Now it's just like you're a sick call ranger. You got a profile and stuff like that. It's different. You have to protect yourself at all times. Leadership was horrible in my time. Females are 2% of the military. Like, and that's what I'm saying. It's just like people don't understand that the times have changed. Some people, look, another problem that we have with the military is the failure to adapt. As an eldest child and single mom, you can let your PTSD show. You have to do what you need to do. I didn't find out till another veteran told me to go in because they could see what I didn't see. Trust me, Chandler, I understand that completely. I understand the fact that it's just like most people don't understand that. It's just like we are not medical professionals. No veteran is a medical professional. We don't know what the fuck is going on with us. People deal with anxiety. People deal with OCD. People deal with ADHD. Um, People deal with all sorts of stuff. But most of the time, people don't know it because you never thought of it. In the military, nah, bro, you good. Here's a beer. Nah, you good. Here's some Motrin. Here's some ibuprofen. Here's 1,000 milligrams of this, or whatever the case. You see what I'm saying? And it's just like, here, you'll get better now. You'll be all right. Of course, when fighting, never commit fraud. One thing to remember is there needs to be a punishment system to hold the raiders accountable. As long as they can see our VA photo, they can discriminate. It was just like, it's not even like I didn't even look at it in that factor. New Age. I didn't even look at it as a VA photo because that's the thing is that's the same thing that happened in the military with the promotion thing, where they eliminated the photos of people so that you wouldn't be able to see them, and just based it off of what they had in their file. The thing is there's no accountability. There has to be an accountability when it comes to the veterans committing fraud, and then there has to be accountability when it comes to raiders fucking shit up. Now, I'm not saying that it's just like you have like a point system. You have a evaluative measures that goes into it. If I go and New Age, you my VA raider, right? And you got a fucking list of write-ups for fucking not doing shit right, missing this, missing that, that's grounds for firing you. Do they do that though? No, because I know they have a list, they have a system that tracks that you get points for completing the stuff, but not completing it correctly. Now, if you have a percentage that most of your shits go to appeal, that's a problem. It was like it's accountability throughout. Because the thing is they get paid attention to make sure, hey, your VA raider is doing this amount this many times, they've gone through this many processes, and they see it that way. Other times, it's just like, no, there's no accountability on there. There's no accountability through the fraud. Because the thing is most of the time people find out about the fraud and it's after the fact. It was just like most people think that they can't go to a gym once they are disabled. Yes, you can go to a gym. But if you said that your back was the problem and here you are squatting 400 something plus pounds, your back was clearly not the problem. You can still go, you can still do squats. You may have to do it at a lower weight because then that's what it is. But that's what it is. So they get bonuses, yeah, for completing a certain amount, but not for doing them correctly. So that's what it should be. If they're getting bonuses for completing a certain amount, it should be you're getting this bonus for completing this many, but completing them correctly. Meaning you went through this and like, yeah, you process Crew's claim, and it's actually good. What was denied, and there was no instances of issues. Because the thing is if you go back to it, that's part of the reason we have this appeals backlog. Because it could be a simple thing as you filed for something and that raider just decided to overlook it or just pass it or didn't even give a shit about it. Now you put in a hold on that. Now that's a bigger backlog for nothing like that. But no, there's no accountability there. But that has to change. I was just like, most people don't want to have that conversation because the thing is, look, I can assure you this. If there are people that are watching these YouTube videos, it's like, oh, off of this rating, you can get up to 100%. Most of those people don't have those issues. Yeah, you might have tinnitus, but you didn't have migraines. You didn't have sleep apnea. You didn't have all this stuff off of this. But you saw this video and you were like, fuck it. If they're going to provide me a letter, a diagnosis, a nexus letter, it's called fraud. But we don't want to say that because it's like we need to get to 100%. You see how slippery that slope is? It was like you got a bunch of channels just like do this, do that, do this to get to 100%, do this, do that. I was just like, that's fraud. No, I have no problem with that, Annette. It's when you're making it up to do it. Because there's nothing wrong with you going to another doctor. If you have the stuff that you are dealing with and you are going to get seen because you've been dealing with that situation, I'm all for it. The problem I have is when it's like when people do the secondaries to the secondaries to the secondaries to the secondaries to the secondaries because they saw it on a video or they saw that it wasn't like actual verifiable stuff. They just going off of that. That's an issue. That to me is an issue. If I have, like I say, I'm a VA raider, and I have everybody here that's in this chat. Y'all all went to the same doctor. Everybody in chat got a different disability, different issue. Y'all all went to the same doctor. Mind you, you're all spread around the country. But y'all all got the same doctor to get you a diagnosis and stuff like that. This must be one of the hardest working doctors I've ever fucking seen in my life. That they are able to take care of people from across the country, diagnose them, see the stuff, and get it. It was just like, no, incinerator. There's nothing wrong with that. What I'm saying is that I'm not saying people shouldn't do that. It was just like, yes, there are secondary conditions that come from it. But at the same time, some people are just like, no, I know Annette, but this is where we talk about that gray area that we do know that veterans do bullshit. That we can't deny that fact. I was like, you can go through the proper, like how you was saying earlier. Who was it that was saying it? How New Agers said, it's the system. Work the system. People are working the system. Some are working the system in the correct manner. Some are working the system, and you know what I mean. So that's why it's just like people could do the legal way of doing it, but somewhere there's some bullshit to some of these things. And it happens, but there's no accountability for it. So if that person is doing it on the front end, and then on the back end, the VA rater isn't being held accountable, you have everything in the fucking middle that's just like up in the air. Everything up in the air that can't be actually consolidated, can't be tracked. Where was the mess up and stuff like that? Oh no, I know that. The thing is that we can't fix the system if we're not holding these people accountable. It's like, yeah, we have heard those stories of certain service members that have gone to jail for VA fraud. You have seen that happen. It does happen. Because some are just like blatantly exaggerating. With most, you can't really tell. But it's just like, come on now. And then with the CFR, that's what I said. The VA raters, like I said, if I got 14 of y'all or 15 of y'all or 20, I got to do like 30. Let's say I got to do 30 within the month. I don't even know what the time frame is. But I have to go through it, and mostly I have the same stuff from the same people. I'm probably not going to go as in depth. And Annette, that's the thing. Veterans are the people in the middle. That's why it bothers me, because it's another veteran that's taking this loss because of somebody else's bullshit. So when that raider doesn't do his job correctly and it gets sent to an appeals, now you have that person in limbo for whatever time. They suffer because they're not service connected for that issue. They can't get treatment specifically for that because it's just like, hey, we didn't cause this shit. So imagine you're going for a PACT Act claim where it's just like, hey, you're filing for cancer. But then there's priority processing, which is different. But yeah, with the same doctor, that doctor has good ideas, but shady on the other end. That was just like, I was like, a lot of doctors will do that. And then all of a sudden, it's just like you go to the VA and then the VA messes it up and then you still get denied. And then you get denied, and the first blame you want to do is just like, oh, well, I paid this company and I got denied for it. It could have been that the VA rater messed it up, or it could have been that that entity did something wrong. But you don't know after this whole process has gone through the system. So it's just like, it's crazy. See, now, Kevin, the problem is like, look, this is one thing I'll say with this. I do understand that the problem is when people have legit issues and they get denied, people try to become deceitful to try to get it. The problem is that with some of these people, you have legit issues, right? But you don't know how to file it. You don't know how you were supposed to do it. You don't know what documentation you did or what you didn't do. And most of those times, most people will have stuff and they don't have full things. Because the thing is like, look, I talk to a bunch of people. I've talked to people on here. I've talked to friends and they ask me like, hey man, what can I do with this, and that? And then I'm always like making the light bulb turn on for certain people. It's just like, did you think about writing a letter? I was like, I can do that. Buddy statement, witness statement, just documentation that you have showing the stuff, your neighbor's statement, your wife's statement. Shit, you can even put a kid's statement in there. Most people don't think they can do that. Most people don't know that they can check the Code of Federal Regulations to see what their disability is, what they can actually get a rating for, what it is. Because some veterans are still like, hey, I got this issue, I'm at 100%. Some veterans have that mentality. Some people don't know that the Code of Federal Regulation explains all that. The thing is the problem is that we're not educating veterans enough to do it the proper way, that then they become deceitful. Because then it's just like, oh, I got denied. Most people just take that denial and they just keep it moving. And then it's just like, well, what if it was just an error on the VA rater? Maybe it was supposed to be approved, but you didn't know the appeals process. Most people don't know the appeals process. Most people just take it as just like, well, I tried. I tried to get this sleep apnea, but I didn't get it done. Some people just think, oh, I got a study done. My nexus letter. No, show more facts. And that's what they do. Trip part is these YouTube guys and gals will have people thinking they have a right to game the system. That is also, and that's why I decided that it's just like, I'm not doing consultations. I do these workshops. These workshops are free. If you have a question, as everybody that's here knows, if you have a question, I am going to do my best and my ability to get you an answer. What you do with that answer, that's your problem. Because the thing is my name is not going to be associated with anything to do with what you do with the claim. My name is going to be associated with the fact that you got the correct information or you got the guidance of where to obtain the information. Now, if you use it correctly, you should know what you're able to get. If you want to be deceitful, that's on you also. But at the same time as me making sure that I am educating veterans to the point where you understand what you need to do so that you don't have to be deceitful, so you don't have to lie. Not everybody deserves 100%. And a lot of people disagree and shit. I've had people leave the channel because of that. That's fine. I got no issue with that. You can be mad, you can be mad. Not everybody did or went through something that caused it. A lot of people do, and a lot of people don't factor in or know how to put it in writing or know what to say or know how to file a claim. Like I said, when I first filed, I put back spasms. Back spasms is not a fucking diagnostic code. But you deal with them, right? You're going to put back spasms. Then they're going to put service connected, and you're going to be like, I should have gotten like 30% for this. These shits are terrible. But there's no claim for that. And people just take it as a L and they'll be like, well, that was wrong. Well, if you have back spasms, that means something underlying is causing these back spasms. That's what you need to find a diagnosis with. That's what you need to have in your record. That's what you need to have a DBQ or imagery of. Because muscle spasm, they can't tell a muscle spasm unless you lucky enough that your back starts spasming or whatever starts spasming right when they're doing a CMP exam. And they'll be like, yeah, I literally seen it happen instead of what you're saying. So it's just like a lot of these channels is just like, look, there's some channels that are benefiting veterans and they're giving them information. Most of them are those Those that are like the lawyer ones or stuff like that, they're usually giving pertinent information. Why? Because their damn shit is on the line. Their accreditation, their law degree, their anything to do with the law is in jeopardy if they are bullshitting you. So they have to be honest. With these other channels, hey, if I clickbait enough, it'll be like, look, I've seen one that was just like, oh, this is like a $200,000 benefit if you use it this way. $200,000. You lying to veterans saying that they're gonna make $200,000 off of something. But people will click on that shit quick, and it could just be fluff. But then that fluff is what keeps on happening, and then they see that it's just like, oh shit, if I could do this and do that, if I work the system in this way, which there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing wrong with working the system. If all these benefits are there and you can use them in conjunction and work them together, that's the whole point of using it, because they're all there for you to use. But if you're taking advantage of them because you're just, a little lie here, come on. I've heard plenty of vets complain about going to CMP exams and an examiner does a half exam, lies, and there's not a real recourse for the vet until after the denial appeal process. The thing is Kevin, what a lot of people don't understand is just because you had a bad CMP exam, you can write that down and make a complaint. I forget what the hell the form is. But you can make a claim towards that, basically saying that you had a bad CMP examiner. What also happens with that is that, look at what you said. They complain about going to the CMP exams and the examiner does a half-ass exam or lies. Who are they complaining to? Because the veteran is probably complaining to another veteran. They're not complaining to the VA. They're not complaining and making a statement of like, hey, I told them this, and that. And when I looked at my file, it wasn't there. I was just like, and that's the thing, most people just think, glad you said that, Fire, because it's just like, hurry up and wait. You did it in the military. Now all of a sudden you're a vet and you think that's not going to happen. You think it's going to be an instant thing. I was like, no, you were hurry up and waiting in the military to go to the range, waking up at 0330, first formation 0330, weapons draw was at like 5 a.m, and now you got to sit around with your weapon for another 4 hours because the range don't open up till 9. Been up for an extra 6 hours for no damn reason. And you just expect results. It's the same thing with the VA. The thing is if you don't got the people, or if you don't got people being held accountable, that's all it is. I was just like, a lot of vets complain, but they don't complain to the right people. If I'm making these complaints, but the VA hasn't heard about it, if you went through a bad CMP exam and you didn't file a complaint saying that, hey, I was being, my CMP exam was for my knee, my ankle, my hip, and my back. And at no time did the CMP examiner use the gynometer to basically see the percentage of my rotation or anything like that. That was never used the whole time. That's a valid complaint. But you have to complain that to the VA. But at the same time, most veterans don't even know that when it's to the musculoskeletal part and it comes to the reflex, the abduction, and the rotation, they're supposed to have that out so that they can measure the percentage of it. Most veterans don't even know that exists. Most veterans don't even understand that they're supposed to have a measurable action to see how much you actually flex, how much you can actually move. Because if you mean to tell me that the person just eyeballed it, that's not a correct CMP exam, because they're supposed to use that piece of thing to do it. Kevin, and trust me, like in certain instances, you do need a lawyer. In certain instances, it does seem like it's set up for the veteran to fail. The reason a lot of the times we fail as veterans is because we're not educating ourselves within the regulation. So it makes it difficult. I was denied an increase and requested a hearing and waiting for another CMP exam, which is prolonging it further. Could the exam look at the increase also, or will I have to put in another supplemental? I was denied an increase and requested a hearing. See, so the thing is if you already filed and that was a denial and you're waiting for the hearing, don't file anything else because you're waiting on that. That's the part that I think bothers the most. Or yeah, do that too. The DBQ is a great document to look at. Others may have different skill sets. Some are great with critical thought as it pertains to researching. Well, that's the thing, New Age. The thing is look, the DBQ taking it is important. When it comes to the denial and the increase, if your stuff is going through an appeal process, you got to wait out that appeal process, because if you file another one, it's not going to make any difference. They're still going to appeal the previous one. But if they, let's say they do it over new and they see that it is, they might try to hit you with the, oh, well, you filed this new one, so this is your effective date instead of what you're going through the appeal. So you always got to wait. The problem with those appeal processes is imagine you waiting 3 years for something you know you got right, and then they still said it was wrong. And researching the 38 CFR, the thing is just like, I understand the different skill sets. But if you were in the military, you know how to read. If you were in the military and didn't know how to read, that's a problem. But from my assumption, if you were in the military, you knew how to read. So if you know how to read, you are able to read this document. Go through it. You ain't researching it much because you're just finding out what it is. Read through it. The preparation assistance, I understand that, but you could do that online and it's a simple process. The thing is the combination of both those things is not as existent. Most people know how to fill out a intent to file or file online, but most people don't know how to find an actual CFR or know that it exists. So with that problem, it's just like a lot of the problems we have as veterans is that the connecting factors aren't there. See, look, Kevin was just like, when I got out, it wasn't even a thing. It was just like, you have the internet now. For newer aged veterans, these younger generations, they shouldn't have a problem finding stuff because they've been attached to their phone since they were born, basically. Well, I wouldn't say since born, but y'all understand what I'm saying. The older generations didn't have that. Appreciate you, Fire. But that's something that needs to be understood. It's just like, those are different things that is just like people don't understand. And that's the problem, and that's why it's just like we gotta educate veterans more, and that's the problem we're going through right now. It's just that we need to do a better job of educating our veterans, but it's also working with each other and giving each other correct information. Like when I find information for you, I'm just looking for it through the .gov site. I'm looking through va.gov. I'm not trying to give you information of, oh, I saw this website. No, I'm going to the source and I'm giving you that information. It was just like some people don't have the ability to have that critical analysis part to do it. The thing is it's always held against the veteran, but the thing is the veteran isn't prepared. Because the thing is I bet you that if we as veterans knew that they had to have a gynometer when it comes to any of those movements and stuff, and we went into that CMP exam, and before we sat down, they started checking us and looking at us like, hey man, I know you're supposed to have a gynometer to measure my measurements. Why is that not here? If you were to go straight up to your CMP examiner and tell them that, they're gonna be like, oh shit. I was like, damn, this dude know. Okay, let me pull this shit out. But the thing is most veterans go into locations without. You get to appreciate that, Kevin. It was like most people go into these situations with having no idea of what they're supposed to do. Nobody goes like veterans, for some reason, veterans just decide, you know what? I'm going to go to the CMP examiner blind. Not no way, motherfucker. Like I'm going to go blind and I'm going to do it. And that's what I'm saying. So it's just like for the older generations and older veterans from previous eras, it's different. A lot of the information I try to assist with is because the thing is you have to start thinking outside the box because you got used to an era where the military was one way. The military has changed. The military has changed in the 10 years I was in. It went through two different phases. where you saw the difference of people that were always on a phone and people that are just got on a phone. Two different mentalities, two different generations mixing. Yeah. And that's the thing. Most people have to dig this information themselves. Most people don't find this information because the thing is, like I said, for me, I decided a year before I was going to get out, I'm going to get out. And what did I do? Started watching these videos. I started getting on YouTube. I watched, what was it? Combat Craig. I always give him a shout out because that was the first person I found. And he just had a ton of people watching him, bunch of information. And then it was just like, let me just see what I can find. After I've seen and I learned about the CFR, the Code of Federal Regulations, I went into it and it was just like, some of those videos were at good advice. Hey, when you have these issues, write them all down. Make sure what it is, stuff like that. Like I tell people now, if you're on active duty, you have your I Love Me book and you have my I Hurt Me book. You have both books. One is all the accomplishments and stuff like that. And the other one is every time you fucked yourself up. You have it there. You have that to use when you're getting out, whether it's profiles, sick call slips, appointments, all that shit, because not everything gets put in. It's just like, you remember, it's some fucking private that don't want to do no work and is in charge of making sure your documents are in your record. Good luck to you. If you're making sure that somebody else is paying attention to what you need to do and not yourself, good luck to you. You're not going to be successful. But it's just information is there. People just don't know where to get it, don't know how to look it up. If you were a soldier that basically, or a veteran that have been dealing with stuff and have the ability of the internet, you got less excuses. If you came into the military and you didn't have the ability of internet and all this stuff, and you didn't have this information, the era is different, then it's different because it's just like you didn't have these resources. You may have had to go to an actual library to get this. When was the last time any kids nowadays go to the library? Everything, like, people forget that back in those days, shit wasn't digitized. Shit was in paper. People didn't have those fucking filing cabinets that were like humidity free. So all that fucking writing started getting smudged together. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens that people don't understand, but it's just like not having the education of putting these things together is what causes these problems. Because if you don't know what you're supposed to expect at a CMP exam, how do you even know if it's being done right? If you are going into one of these examinations and you don't know what an examination is supposed to look like, how do you know it's being conducted the right way? You don't. So literally, you are putting your whole faith into that VA rater or into that CMP examiner without having a clue as to what the hell they're doing, what they're supposed to be doing. Hey, what should they be asking me? What questions should I say? How should I answer? Most people don't prep that. Most people have no idea what it is. They just go and they just sit down and they answer questions. And they just answer questions in a way that doesn't really explain what they're supposed to say. Because the thing is like, yes, they're going to ask you, how do you feel? And most veterans, the quickest thing that I feel all right. I'm doing okay today. And leave it at that's the answer. No. Yep. I'm doing okay today. But the past couple of months, I've been dealing with this, and that because of this. It's gotten worse. I haven't been. That's what you have to add on to it. Not just I'm doing fine. Because once you say Kevin Stevens says he's doing fine. Fuck, I got to ask you anything else for? You just gave me the answer that you didn't realize you were giving me, but you just told me you were completely fine. See, Devin says he goes to the VSO tomorrow to get all this stuff put in. Make sure you have it, man. Devin, if you're putting in anything to the VSO for a claim, make sure that claim is solid. Make sure you have all the documentation. Everything is lined up together. Everything is put together so that when it's prepared and somebody else is viewing it, they know exactly what it is you're talking about. Is it possible to get 60, 70, or 80 for my back injury claim and states that I have functional loss, which severely impacts daily routine? Is it possible to automatically get rated for SMC? So you got to remember, New Age, when you're looking at back injury, you have to look at the Code of Federal Regulations. What does the back injury do? What does it provide? How am I able to use it? Hold on, let me see because I have to change something. So I got both of these on top of each other. I need to change this. But the CFR, most people don't understand about the CFR. You have to look at the CFR in cases like that. You have to look at the different criteria and the different stuff that's available to you there, because that changes everything. Oh, what did I do? Fit the screen. I just changed the whole thing. Well, I need to make some changes too, but it's a CFR because you would have to go to the CFR and then just check the table of contents. It'll be musculoskeletal, and it'll have the different ones: hand, static foot, joints, the bones, and you would check through there. And then you got to check to see what it is that you can get from your back issues, what you have diagnosed, what you can claim, because then all that information is going to be in there within the back section. So you're going to have to see the spine, and then it gives you a breakdown of different things that you can claim. Unfavorable I can't even fucking say the thing. But that is the one basically that you can use, and you can use it that way. And that's what you're using. But that you can only get 100% from. Certain things for back issues, you can't get 100% for a lot of them. It depends on what you're claiming, but that's what you got to make sure to check. Man, I went to my so you don't get automatically rated. You would get sent for SMC if you fall under the SMC criteria, which it depends on which one it is, what you're doing, and stuff like that. So that is different. That doesn't always populate for everybody. But you have to have the certain things for the SMC is just because you fall in the SMC rules. But to get a certain percentage, you have to check and verify what it is. Man, I went to my first and thinking I was just going to just tell him what's wrong. The dude flipped everything around and I got denied. That's for presumptive. Older vets were not taught to complain. Once that is drilled into you, it's so hard to get that out of that habit. Correct. Can you use the past VBA decisions, other veterans, not me, as evidence to board rating, disability center to sleep apnea? Yes, Kevin. That's all evidence. Anything that helps support your claim is what you need to do. Or just see now. This is the information because look, on TikTok I have somebody. I have Davin, which basically is now filing his first claim because they told them that instead of him doing the BDD process, which he would have been able to get out now and have his information within the month of getting out, they told them not to file that and to file it after he got out. So this is the instances where I'm saying like this is the information that hinders veterans because you're being told the wrong information. Because if you have the BDD process, the benefits delivery by discharge, you do it between 180 days and 90 days of you ETSing, you will basically get your claims and all your rating and all that stuff done within the month after your ETS date finalizes. You know what your rating is, you know what your percentage is and stuff like that, but he's being told to do it after the fact. And that's the wrong answer. But it's stuff like that people don't educate because that unit or that leadership was just trying to make sure they had an extra body to do whatever they needed because they knew he was getting out, instead of him being able to go and get this prepared to be better off in the future. And that's where, why is retention bad? It was just like, well, the people that you don't want to keep, you kick them out the door and everybody else sees it. And the people you want to keep, you see who you have emphasis towards. So it's a different thing that way. And then and it says someone has to sit down and hold a mock interview with them to train them how them what to say. It is not cheating, but showing them you are not okay, you hurt, and you are not okay. And that's the thing, and that's why I say that the VSO people told me that on base. Wow. So the VSO on base only, and that's the wrong information because the reason is that they probably make money off of the fact that they are servicing you. So they're basically telling you, oh, don't go through this process. Just wait till you get out so that we can have you as a number that we assisted. That's the wrong fucking answer. Because you could have done all this without the VSO. You could have gone to the VSO prior to while you were getting out, and they could have gave you information to better prepare your claim. And then you could have done the BDD process, gotten out. See, that's what I'm saying. And no, it is not cheating on that. Because the thing is most veterans just don't know what they have to say. I'm not saying a lie. I'm saying be honest about the issues you are going, but you have to know how you're saying them. You have to paint the picture for that VA. Them CMP examiners don't know who the hell you are. Most don't care who you are. They just need to go, okay, this is what the CFR says. This is what he's telling me. He gets migraines, but he doesn't get them that often. That sounds like a 0% rating to me. I get migraines. I get them at least 2 times, 3 times, 4 times a month. When I do get them within the month, my headaches are prostrating. You don't want to use prostrating or you can't use it, but my headaches are bad enough that I have to lay down, turn off all the lights, be alone, dark place, and go to sleep, take medication, and try to get better. And that happens this amount of times a month. 50% rating. Now, the difference is just that I gave an explanation as to how many times it happened, how bad it got when it happened, and that was the same thing. It's the same thing with your knee injury, same thing with your back injury, same thing with wrist, anything you have. You have to say, hey, look, there are days where my pain level is a 3, but every other day I'm 5+. And the 3 is usually when I'm medicated. That paints a picture because that means, okay, this person has pain at all times. It does get better, but not to the point where it's completely gone. But now, at those worst times or every other day, it's at 5+, meaning that I have to keep taking medication to assist with controlling the pain. That is something you need to explain. Not just, yeah, I take pain meds. Because the thing is I know that's how most veterans is just like, they just answer a quick, simple answer. And it was just like, you didn't provide any further explanation as to what's going on with you, how it bothers you, and stuff like that. So all they're going off of is that one statement that you said, you're good. And then you get denied. And then you'd be like, well, I had all my evidence. I had all my information in there. All my information is here. I was just like, so Davin, you're gonna get more than 30% because if you have anxiety, depression, and the attempt, that is gonna get combined into your mental health rating. So you should get a percentage from there. Torn ligaments, stuff like that. Remember, everything you have, put it together. It doesn't matter how small or minuscule it was. If it happened in service, put it together. Don't just try to rush through this process. Everything you have in your medical records, go through it line by line, put it down. It happened here, it happened there. Oh, okay, this happened multiple times. I went to physical therapy multiple times for this. Put it together, get that stuff there, put it together. When it comes to the CMP examiner, explain what it is wrong with you. Explain what it is. Because the thing is for some, it may not happen. For some, the explanation that you give as to how it's bothering you, what the symptoms are, can lead to the fact that it's like, you know what? This person is dealing with this, but this is also another diagnosis I'm giving him. Because he complains about pain here, pain there, the pain shoots down his leg or something like that. It was just like, if you don't say that and you just deal with it because you're a veteran and you just deal with the pain, then eventually, yeah, all that stuff adds up. And it's just like, you just missed out on a claim because you totally forgot to say something that contributed to the issues you're dealing with. And those are the things people need to realize. All this stuff is there, all this education, all this information, all these documents and all that stuff. It's available to people. They just don't know where to find it and don't know how to use it well. That's why it's like for a lot of these channels, it's just like, man, it's just like, how did y'all figure this shit out? I was just like, yeah, I got denied. I was like, look, the VA doesn't always get it right. But the thing is when you make it easy for the VA to get it wrong, why wouldn't they? If you don't do your due diligence, if you don't do your research, if you don't do your study, it's just like, look, if you're going to go and you're going to buy something, you at least going to know what you're going to buy. You know why you want to buy it. You know the reason. You know how much it's made for, most of the time at least. If let's say you're going to go buy a new TV, you're just not going to grab one off the shelf. You're going to see, oh, well, I wanted one with 4K, but it got to be a smart TV. Can I play this? Can I do that? Does it have this? Like stuff like that. That you think about the process. The same thing with the VA. Veterans have to go through that process. Veterans have to look at that. That could be sciatica and stuff with your back issues, Devin. So you got to make sure you put in that, find a diagnosis for that to report that. But this is all information. It's just like the federal benefits thing. I was just like, yeah, I know people. That was the topic of today, but we had to have this conversation because the thing is this is kind of like the conversation I wanted to have with members only over the weekend when I was like trying to set it up and I did it and then I got rid of it. But these are the things that we need to talk about because these are the things that veterans need to understand better. A lot of this information is there. You just don't know it. A lot of benefits are out there. You just don't know them. A lot of disability ways of figuring stuff out, you just don't know. I was just like, most people don't understand. If you go on a CMP examiner, they're going to ask you questions. Sometimes they may not. Because of the fact that, hey, if you're filing a disability claim and your disability claim is foolproof, they're just going to ask you probably 1 or 2 questions on it and move on to the next subject. Because it's like, oh, no, this is clear as day here. I don't got to ask him shit. I was just like, I see the bulging disc in his documentation. I see this. I see that. Okay, we're good. Next part of the claim. When they start asking you those, when they start turning into 50 Cent and start asking you those 21 questions, it's because, okay, I don't have a clear picture of what the hell is wrong with you. Can you explain further? Can you assist me in putting that picture together in my CMP examiner view or my VA rater view so that I understand what it is you're talking about? Because right now, I got to ask you these questions because there's nothing here but this. Yes, you got seen by the doctor. That's it. You don't got to know anything else. You claim it. Some people get approved for that because it shows it. Some people don't. But that's all information that's there that people need to realize and understand that it's just like, appreciate that, Kevin. Like I said, this is a free resource. I don't charge people for this. This is free information. The same way I was able to get on and I learned all this stuff is just like it helps assist veterans when we can teach other veterans how to take advantage. I wouldn't say take advantage because that's a bad word, but work the system. I guess you don't want to say that. How the like our little mission statement is guiding veterans to the benefits they've earned. That's all it is. I'm guiding you to where the benefit is, what the information is, what it is from there. You are your own person. If you want to be deceitful, that's on you. If you want to learn what it is, that's on you. But at the end of the day, teach another veteran how you did it. Show them how you did it. Explain to them how you did it. Explain to them that, hey, I went through the CFR and the CFR showed me that since my thigh movement was only this much, I could only get there. New Age is not going to have anything. Look, the backlog is going to increase. Why? Because more veterans are filing more claims. Less VA raters are being hired. So there's already a discrepancy there. You got to remember, there are over 19 million veterans in total alive right now. Out of those 19 million, only 8 million use the VA. We still got 11 million vets that don't even touch the VA, that maybe they might do their yearly examination. No problem, David. That was like that yearly, the yearly visitation. That's it. That was just like the backlog is there. If you're going through a claim and they deny it and you appeal it, now you're going into the 3 year mark of backlogs when it comes to appeals. Changing of administration, changing of the secretary of the VA, changing of where they think money should go to, changing of what their priority is. That is going to change how the VA operates going forward and in the future. If you're getting rid of people because they don't fall in line with what the VA secretary means, that means that you're going to have a shortfall when it comes to processing stuff. All these VA raters and CMP examiners, well, CMP examiners is one thing, but VA raters that work remotely from home, if they got to move into an office or get closer to a thing and they got to move their whole family, best believe people ain't moving their whole fucking family for these jobs to get closer to DC or closer to someplace where they need to be to get into an office. Those are things. So hopefully, look, all these decisions and stuff like that, I hope they end up assisting veterans, but I can't be optimistic at this point. These first couple of months of this year, this first half of the year is going to be rough because there's going to be all these changes, all these implementations. The schedule of ratings might change. The mental health one got changed as the final action date to August, but you still have sleep apnea and tinnitus scheduled for April changes, or at least final action dates of April. That's going to change the situation. You just had the change with even though we went over the GI Bill and the education benefits. Remember, they just changed the law of the Veterans Act or benefits. Remember what the act is called exactly. But they just changed that allows you to that if you served more than one time period or one contract, now you may be eligible to get an extra 12 months of educational benefits. Because remember, the GI Bill is only 36 months. If you combine the GI Bill and the MG and the Montgomery GI Bill that you paid into, that you can get as the 48 months. Now they're just making it as like, hey, if you're using a post 9/11, you could use that. But since last time Trump was in the backlash, and that's what people don't understand, and that's why it's just like a lot of veterans don't understand that point and don't see that point. Yes, under Trump, the VA was making progress. Why? Because there was not as many, people weren't filing new claims per month as they were now. PACT Act hit in 2022, which the PACT Act there. So there wasn't many people filing for disability claims because you got to remember, during that time, not a lot of people were getting out either. If you joined in 2001, your 20-year mark was 2020. 2021, basically. That was your 20-year mark. So you could have retired at 21 years. You would have been in 2020. He was out of office then. Then in 2022, you had an extra 2 million. You've had since 2022, you've had 2 million extra disability claims filed that are PACT Act related. So yeah, the backlog went up. It's going to take some time to bring that down. Because why? You have all these Vietnam era vets, Gulf War vets that, yeah, in his day, they were dealing with cancer. They were dealing with all these issues. But the VA and them didn't recognize it as a presumptive claim. Now, all these Vietnam era veterans and Gulf War veterans that have been dealing with the Agent Orange or anything they may be dealing with can file a claim now because it's like, shit, I'm going through damn chemo or whatever. I have to pay out of pocket for this. Now the VA is saying they'll take care of it because now it's presumptive. So yeah, it's a difference, but most people don't associate those talking points. They leave them separated. They don't talk about the point that yes, the backlog went down. Yes, but now you are able to claim a ton of things that these Vietnam era vets are dealing with currently. That's going to expand it. And if you cutting budget, you cutting the number of people that are able to do it, that backlog is going to take some time to dwindle down. But you also got to remember, with those, you have your service members and veterans that are getting out after Iraq and Afghanistan. Because remember, if you joined in 2021, in 2001, after that happened, your retirement date was 2021. Most people joined after that. Most people didn't join directly after that. So if you joined in 22, your retirement date was 22, 23, or 03, 04, 05, 06. You're hitting your 20-year marks in this year and the next year. So there's going to be another influx of veterans coming out, and those are going to be all the ones retiring from Afghanistan and Iraq days. So imagine how those claims is going to add to it, especially because they have packed that claims also with toxic agents being around, all that shit you were stirring. It's just like where the money comes from and how they do it. That's something that they need to figure out and they need to take care of. But yes, we do need to hire more people. A 90-day freeze on hiring people doesn't help. The DEI factor doesn't help because I don't know exactly. I'm still trying to figure out how with DEI, there's no corporation that hires somebody that isn't unqualified. That's the stupidest thing I've heard. That DEI is used to hire people that aren't qualified. If you are a corporation that needs a person that codes, you're going to hire somebody that codes. They're at least qualified to code. They're not just going to be a person that doesn't know what they're doing and get hired. That's the insinuation that people think it is. But changes are coming. Things are happening. Things are in motion. We just got to pay attention to it. Veterans got to stay together. There's a lot of stuff going on that it's not even VA related that affects a lot of people in this country and will change the outlook for this country. So it's just paying attention to those things like, hey, as veterans, it's understanding that we took an oath to defend the Constitution. And it's understanding that it's the Constitution that we serve to defend, not anything else. And some people, I think, have been forgetting that. And the thought process has left that it was just like you served to defend the Constitution. But yeah, we'll end it on this note. We'll just leave it at that. We got through some other stuff. We didn't get through much of the benefits because we just had a chat, but we'll leave this link on there and we'll just do it that way. We'll probably just break it down into sections and make videos of it to make it easier so that it's explained better. Because this is a lot to go through and it's just like specific things are important to some and some are not important. But at the end of the day, we got to make sure that as veterans, we are communicating with each other and talking to each other, explaining this. Not every veteran has the damn mental fortitude to do these things, whether it's think for themselves or acknowledge researching or finding the information they need to assist themselves. We need to do a better job of communicating that and do a better job of being less closed-minded when it comes to talking about these instances so that we can actually have dialogue and find ways to fix and bring solutions as to how we can possibly change these things instead of it just being, oh, you don't help or this doesn't work or how do we fix these things? That's the biggest thing. So, as always, I appreciate everybody tuning in. I went 20 minutes over, but it's all right. We'll do this again throughout the week. And I'm going to just start I got videos to edit about information and stuff like that, but we'll do this with this one so that people have the instances. But like I said, certain things in these are the benefits that people can get, but some of these will change. Annette, that's what I'm saying. Those are conversations that is just like, some people don't understand. Hey, what's up, Slim? Some people don't understand that. It's just like these things are recurring and some things are getting worse. Some people are just paying attention to that, to the federal level, and are not paying attention to what other states are trying to implement and change with their state representatives and House representatives. That's something that people need to pay attention to because that's a very big influence into what happens with veterans. When it comes to your state giving you this resource or that resource or giving you better tax exemptions and stuff like that, that's your state that does that. If you don't want your retirement pay to be taxed, that's your state that does that. If you want property tax exemptions to go by the percentage of disability you have, that's your state that does that. But we're here talking about different things or arguing. So it's just like I said, it's a learning process for some. Some people won't learn. Some people will just slip through and fall. And some you just got to let fall. But those that want to learn, those that want to be educated, hey, you can tune in here. You can check our website. It's right there on the bottom or on the top. I can just view it that way, get the information you need, and do the best to be successful. Do the best to take care of what you need to. Be diligent in what you do. Be smart in what you do. Assist in what you can do and try to make the most out of it. But like I said, assist people in getting the ratings that they've earned or the benefits that they earned, and just teach people. That's the biggest thing. We need to be able to teach people and need to be able to actually work with each other. Doesn't matter your race, doesn't matter your background, your religious preference, your sexual preference, your choice of books, choice of gaming console, choice of phone. None of that shit matters. We're all the same people. We're all veterans. We all decided to serve this country. We all decided to swear to an oath. We need to start working together more instead of separating each other by stupidity, because we don't get nowhere and we don't fix anything that way. But as always, take care of one another. Be good to one another. Look out for one another. Love one another. And stay marvelous while doing it, y'all. This was another veteran workshop. Turned into more like a little talk statement, but we'll do this. Same thing, workshop Sundays. It's looking like maybe Thursday afternoon or whatever throughout the week. We'll do just a Q&A. So it's just like, appreciate that. Melt. We'll do like just a Q&A thing throughout the week. So it's just like, this will just be for questions and answers. Sunday, we're going to try to do it. Just keep it as workshops so we can stick to the workshops and just keep what we have planned to do and do it that day. Because I know there's going to be conversations and stuff like that. But that's what I'm saying. Like for members, I'm going to be doing like podcast episodes. Some will be live. Some will be just for members. But this is something so that we can have these kind of conversations on things, and it doesn't have to resort to when we're trying to teach people stuff or something like that. This will be conversations that's like, hey, y'all want to sit down and see what my thoughts are, and I want to know what y'all thoughts are. We can have a conversation and dialogue with it. But we'll have Q&As. You got questions, this is when you ask. Sunday, we do a workshop explaining a specific topic and stuff like that. Throughout the weeks, we have our Did You Know videos. We have our little veteran quick tips that we're going to start next month. We have the website, which I am trying to figure out a nice way of putting all the state benefits, but I have to do all 50 of them. So fun times ahead. But yeah, as always, I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. I will see y'all sometime this week. If not, every Sunday, 12 noon here. Shouldn't have to worry about football because nobody's going to watch the Pro Bowl or the activity. So I'll see y'all here when y'all get back. Appreciate y'all as always. Y'all take care. Have a good rest of your week. Stay safe. Stay aware. Cruz signing out. Peace.